Hello, everybody out there on YouTube. We are the middle-aged guys, and if you can't tell, or if you haven't been able to tell if you've seen any videos with us before, we're big into video games. We're big game geeks when it comes to all of that, okay? And although this particular company we're going to talk about hasn't always been in the good graces of gamers overall over the last few years, maybe even the last decade, um, you know, after today's event, there's a lot to talk about. But before we go ahead and we start talking about Sega, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. I am the Reverend.
The theme here.
I'm Gray Mouse 1.
Okay, earlier today, April 18th, 2018, Sega held their FES event in Japan, and basically they went ahead and they announced out. They did pretty much a huge, it was a huge announcement to go ahead and say, all right, this is our huge roadmap going into the rest of the year. Yes, it's a little bit earlier than E3, but that just means that there's probably more things that they have, coming down the pike to go ahead and announce out. All right. During the event, they went ahead, they announced a lot of things. Some of the things were rumored, or a long time rumored. Some of the things were genuine surprises. In fact, I'd say majority of the big things that they announced that were pretty much genuine surprises. All right. Let's start at the top, though, the one that everybody is talking about. It's been rumored for a while that Sega has been trying to go ahead and get Shenmue 1 and 2 redone in HD for current consoles, okay? And especially with the impending release of Shenmue 3 coming out 2019, 2020, whenever that happens, all right? People were hoping that, if Shenmue HD 1 and 2 were to come out, hopefully that they would come out before Shenmue 3, and that if Yu Suzuki is still playing nice with like the save data and stuff like that, maybe there's a way to sit there and transfer over save data, and that whole, feature that was a big part of what Yu Suzuki was first planning with his 5 games of his magnum opus would actually come to fruition. While we don't know about that part, they did confirm that yes, they are planning on releasing out Shenmue 1 and 2 in a collection, an HD collection for the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and the PC. And yeah, that it would have features like both Japanese and English audio and dialogue. Also, if you're a fan of using the foreign language dialogue, subtitles and stuff like that, and that it is definitely something that they're going to be releasing worldwide. Okay. Unlike Square Enix, who only put out a certain collection that everybody would like to go ahead and have on the Switch, only in Japan, but that's another fucking conversation for another time. Let's go ahead and talk about Shenmue 1 and 2, guys. What are your thoughts? Floor is open.
Hashtag, have you seen some sailors? Hashtag, I'm looking for some Chinese people. Hashtag, saved Shenmue 1 and 2. Hashtag, Shenmue saved. Wow. Damn, what a journey for this game. For these two beautiful games. And Derek the Reverend has the European version of Shenmue's 1 and 2.
Well, actually, here's
that's
English version of 1. Yeah, this is American version of 1. And this is Shenmue 2, the European version. All right?
Yeah. I mean, I have the Japanese version of Shenmue USA.
Okay.
Which is basically the United States version of Shenmue released in Japan for the Japanese Dreamcast in English and so on. I'm very excited. This is a day one buy. No doubt about it. I'm a big Shenmue fan. Damn. Especially since me and Gray Mouse 1 were stationed in Japan. We've been to Yokosuka. Okay? We've seen, look, we are embedded in that freaking culture. So that's another reason why that game spoke to us. Especially when it released, it was like, whoa, okay, we're playing in our backyard. Basically, that was it. And like I said, when we went to Yokosuka, we're like, a lot of this shit is actually on the freaking map and real, and we went to those places when we were out there. So, hell, thank you, Sega. Thank you. Shenmue saved. Gray Mouse, you have the floor.
Yeah, it was a real good surprise, a nice surprise. I think this is a very good thing, especially with Shenmue 3 coming out. But it seems to me like it was going to happen, I felt, because with Shenmue 3 coming out, in 2019 and 2020, or whenever it may be, people need to know the backstory. And for the best way to do that is to release an HD version of 1 and 2. So before we went on the air here, we were talking about, I wonder what kind of hoops Sega had to go through to get the rights on some of these places and on some of these in-game items. So that's very interesting about that, I think. But absolutely phenomenal news. That's a day one pickup for me, especially after like the Dean was saying, we were stationed over there, and wow, good stuff.
Yeah,
one thing I would like to add to that, Gray Mouse. I remember when Crazy Taxi was re-released on the PSP, and music changed, endorsement, like product placement changed. You didn't see Fila Store, you didn't see KFC, you didn't see Pizza Hut. Yeah. I hope Shenmue doesn't jettison that. Now I do understand. Okay, the Japanese version of those product placements were different from the American version of Shenmue 1 specifically, because the Japanese version of Shenmue had Coca-Cola products. Mm-hmm. The United States version did not. So I'm thinking that for the US version, or what about the Casio watch? That's going to be a very interesting one. So that was one of the main things that I wanted to add on. I wonder how are they going to solve that, especially if they're going to have Japanese, because for the PS4, there's going to be a Japanese version. So I wonder how is that going to be solved.
Well, and on top of all that, too, is the fact that I was really surprised that Microsoft is actually going to get a good game.
Oh!
I mean, wow. I was expecting Steam to get it, but actually the console to get it, I was like, wow, that's good news for Microsoft. They definitely need something like that, on their system to add to their library.
You see, so Sega will put this on the Xbox One. I'm with you on that. I'm very surprised by that too.
Well, I think when you're looking at the type of work that they're doing, the nature of the work that they're doing is an HD remake of the original work. By its nature, they're already porting it to other things. All right, so accordingly to most of the developers that are out there, the architecture between the Xbox One and the PS4, the core architecture as far as the way that the GPU and the central processor and everything works isn't far apart. Okay, it's all Intel x86. All right, it's all 32-bit core and everything else. So going ahead and doing the port over, as long maybe they're using like some sort of brand new middleware. We don't know if it's Unreal, Unity, or something else like that maybe works with the newer systems. If they're doing that port already, they're probably already halfway done. As far as making sure that the code can accommodate other systems or other platforms or stuff like that. I am surprised that they didn't want to go ahead and go full bore and bring it also to the Switch. All right.
Yeah, they didn't do that.
Yeah, because there are no plans for a Switch version. All right, but I'm just glad like hell that they're going to go ahead and they're going to bring this out. They've got the first two, 1 and 2 together. It's going to be all localized and everything else. worldwide release for everybody. You can get both of them on the same platform. You can sit there, use the transfer of saves and everything else. Because look, here's the thing. All right. Generally speaking, unless you wanted to learn how to speak Japanese and everything else, all right. If you're an English speaker, you only had the PAL version of Shenmue 2 to go ahead and play. Here's the fucked up part about this. All right, is that yeah, I can go ahead and I can play this on my Dreamcast, but generally speaking, all right, also because of the way that the PAL territories, well, that's another thing. Okay, here's the thing. This is what I'm getting to. Grandma, I was putting the fuck down. All right, I'm gonna touch that in a second. All right, look, okay, my whole point is that guess what? I can't transfer the save natively from the American version over to the PAL version on the same fucking console. Guess what? If I don't have a VGA box, all right, and I'm playing the PAL version, depending on my TV, this won't fucking run.
Yeah.
All right? And then on top of that, yeah, sure, we've got the Xbox version there that was also brought out that was localized, but there's no way to sit there and connect the functionality that was intended by Yu Suzuki when he originally created the games, or he originally started to create his series of games. All right, so having them all on one console all together, guess what? My only, if I wanted to go ahead and play a full Shenmue 1, 2 Dreamcast run, I would have to get either two Japanese versions of Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2, all right, or I'd have to get two PAL versions of Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2, all right. Either way, good luck because it's fucking expensive, all right? Even the Japanese version of fucking Shenmue, complete in box, with the fucking obi and the case and everything else, goddamn is expensive. So, yeah, thankfully, now if you're somebody who's looking at actually dipping your toe into this series and you don't want to go through, am I going to be going over, multiple regions, multiple fucking consoles? No, you just get it for whatever you play on the most, enjoy it, go ahead and handle your thing. And then hopefully, if Sega's playing nice with Yu Suzuki, hopefully we can go ahead and we can actually use the save information and transfer over to Shenmue 3 like it was originally intended.
What's interesting is the fact that hopefully this will get new fans of the series. I mean, if this game is kind of, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's a great game. I mean, there's certain parts in it, the quick time events and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that's in the game that are not everybody's cup of tea. But so hopefully by them releasing the 1 and 2 HD, that we'll get more people involved in the Shenmue universe. Again, like, before we said, Shenmue 1 and 2 weren't very successful. They just weren't. Not many copies were sold, especially Shenmue 2.
Well,
there
the other
are
thing,
reasons for that, but
yeah.
But
The other thing too is that concretely also, without jumping into that, because there are also other parts of the FES that we're going to talk about. Unfortunately, with Shenmue the way that it was on the Dreamcast, there wasn't enough Dreamcasts out there in the world in order for this to go ahead and turn the type of profit that it needed to.
Exactly.
In order for Sega to go ahead and entertain, hey, we're going to go ahead and greenlight 3 and 4 and 5, make sure that they're all out on whatever system is coming out next. All right.
So with that said, we're going to move on after this. With that said, that's very interesting that Sega saw the interest in Shenmue 3 and realized that, hey, maybe we can make Shenmue 1 and 2 profitable by releasing an HD version. So that's excellent news. So Sega, to me, from where I'm standing, it seems to me like Sega's actually interested in that IP again, and maybe, well, like you said, maybe for the future of those who want to continue the story, for seeking revenge, hopefully this is a good thing and it will continue on. I mean, because Yu Suzuki already said that he wants to make a 4 and 5 already. I think the original story was 5 games I think he wanted to make. Something
Well,
like
yeah, that's originally what he wanted. But look here when you start up a Kickstarter, okay, and not only does it sit there and it has center stage on one of the big three's platform announcements at E3, but it then it goes on to gather over $6 million from almost 70,000 backers, okay, in and it covers its initial Kickstarter goals in like less than half the time than what they're projecting. That should be proof positive. All right, look, people are putting money where their mouths are. Okay, that people are interested, and they had that, and then they also had all of the last few times we talked about. Say they were talking about like back library surveys and stuff like that, classic titles that they did customer surveys out in Japan, for ones to go ahead and show up, and Shenmue was right there in the top three
those
as far as it goes.
Those numbers also don't include the Slacker Backer campaign as well.
Actually, that does include the Slacker Backer campaign. That's total altogether. All right, over $6 million. All right, like I said, almost 70,000 backers.
Hey, okay. I donated. That's all I got to say. I donated.
But that's hopefully Sega is actually taking not only cues from that, but also cues from, like I said, the customer surveys that they had sent out over the last few years that we've talked about here on our channel and we've made videos about. Because one of the things that they decided to do is that, look, Nintendo Switch isn't getting Shenmue Collection 1 or 2. However, what they are doing is that they are re-releasing the Sega Ages games. All right, now if you're thinking Sega Ages, there's only really two things that you can think about. All right, the Sega Ages that they put out on the Sega Saturn back in like 1990 or 1992. All right, which is even the Japanese version is like $300 complete in case. All right. Fucking expensive as hell, because what they did was that they took arcade games and then they remade them to go ahead and fit current consoles. Well, Sega went ahead and they did another set of Sega Ages series, the Sega Ages 2500 series that they did on the PS2, that they only released out in Japan, where they took classic games, whether it be from the Genesis or from the arcade, and then they went ahead and they completely remade them for modern consoles. All right, we're talking about full 3D versions of things like let's see here, fantasy zones, other stuff like that. Brand new. What is it? Shoot, what's the racing game? Fucking
Virtual. Or Sega
no,
Rally.
not Virtual Zone.
Sega Rally.
Outrun.
Yeah.
Outrun. Yeah. Outrun for Sega Ages. Before they went ahead, they did Outrun Coast to Coast. That Outrun 2006 for the PS3 and the Xbox, I think, or PS2 and the Xbox. So yeah, they did a whole bunch of those. And look, the only way that you can get a hold of, like, I think all 18 of those games is that you have to import them on Japanese PlayStation. All right, and they're full remakes of arcade games or classic games. We're talking about stuff like Phantasy Star, Thunder Force 4. What is, like I said, Fantasy Zone, other classic Sega titles. All right, and these are going to be coming out to the Switch. So far, though, details say that they're going to be download only. They're going to be there for on their eShop. But you know what? As somebody who's when those games were released, they didn't fill up like a full DVD, so they were smaller games around the size of a CD. Some of them were like 1 or 2 gigs big at most. As somebody who's trying to go ahead and chase those things down, I think it's actually a pretty good deal, especially if you're somebody who's looking for those particular classic games. What do you guys think about it?
Wait, you said that it's only it's DLC only?
Yeah, they're digital only so far right now.
So far,
man.
And they're wait, this is only going on the Switch?
Sega Ages right now, they've only announced it for the Switch.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's definitely some ammo for the Switch.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to what we were talking about earlier, fuck. If Shenmue 1 and 2 HD went for this fucking Switch, Shenmue 1 and 2 HD portable, shit. I would just have to say middle finger to all that and buy a damn Switch right then and there.
Well, see, the problem with the whole thing is, we've already been through this before about digital content. I mean,
But
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. There's something about holding a game in your hand or what, but I'm not against having something on the eShop that's expensive to get anywhere else for a $30 price instead of paying $300, $400 to have the collection on the PS2. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for that. But again, wow, that I thought it was going to be physical. I mean, that kind of stays my hand a little bit, man.
Well, one thing that we have to consider though is that, and this is the only place that I've seen it outside of certain companies like Limited Run Games and East Asia Soft and other things, is that the Switch is the only system that I've seen where people have released indie titles on the eShop, and after they sell really, really well on the eShop, then they go physical. Okay, so when it comes to those particular titles, I would have to say, if you're somebody who's interested in those titles and you're interested in getting a hold of a physical version outside of the the Japanese PS2 versions, your best bet is to go ahead and snatch those titles up, really, because that would encourage them to go ahead and put out a physical release.
Do you think Play Asia would do a physical copy?
Ooh.
No.
Or what about 8-bit?
I don't know about doing that for the Switch, because they would have to actually have the cartridges in order to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
I mean, so do you think, so you said they only announced for the Switch only, right? I mean, there's
right now.
Now.
The Sega Ages titles are going to the Switch right now. So
that says a lot. Wow, Nintendo Switch, man, you can't screw with that, dude. That's impressive to me. That it's only going on the Switch, and I am very grateful that I got the Switch. That's impressive.
But if you think about it, Sega's really playing it really, really kind of safe by saying, okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to port out all these Sega Ages titles to the Nintendo Switch, but they don't have to sit there and invest on putting out physical cartridges. All right, that's always something that they can choose to do later, like a lot of other indie publishers. But for them, there's really not any risk as far as overhead and production costs and stuff like that.
Now, are these games going to be released individually or in just one big pack?
It sounds like these are going to be released individually, especially if it's going to be downloadable.
So they're playing it really, really safe as far as that.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, most of the time, those games will be released in collection, but as individual games, first of all, they won't cost that much. Two, that you can pick and choose what games that you want and so on. So it's not like, oh, it's a pack of all these games, but these games suck. But in order to get this great game, I'm going to have to buy a whole bunch of.
You know what? After you said that, actually, that makes more sense. Because I mean, there will probably be at most $9.99 a piece. I'm talking about like the high end, maybe $9.99.
Maybe, depending on the title, maybe even as high as $20, but I don't think so. Not for these.
No, and that's great news. If it's done individually, then like you said, you don't have to worry about a shitty game being bundled in all these other games.
Yeah,
not that the Sega Ages will be shitty, but you gotta. Anyone that's watching this, you gotta see the point of 30 games. You're only gonna play like 7 of them. Or something like that. But if you can get them individually, especially the ones that are really your favorites, the ones that you really want, and at a decent price, plus it's going on a Switch eShop, so it most likely will be there for a long period of time, and maybe sales and the games will be lowered in price and so on. Yeah, that's a good freaking idea.
See, the thing is, I'm already addicted to the eShop anyway. I mean, I've been playing that King of Fighters 99 on my Switch. So, I mean, I play that almost every week, except this past week. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I've done that. But so the eShop's great.
Yeah, and this will give this will bolster the eShop, with Sega titles and stuff like that. I know that like when they did the Sega Ages 2500 series for the PS2, they would have something like, oh, we've got like Afterburner, okay, and then they'd have Afterburner 1, 2, like the arcade versions, and then they'd have like a remade version of Afterburner 2 where it was like everything was in 3D. It was no longer sprites. Okay, so if they're doing like individual titles and stuff like that, they can even get away with just doing, oh, hey, look, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna release like these are the redone, remastered, Ages games that we went ahead and we put out on that original collection, which had over 30 titles altogether released out. So,
what are some of the noteworthy titles that's in this that's going to the Switch?
Let's see here. Fantasy Star. Let's see here. What are the other ones they've said? Let's see here. Sega Ages. Fantasy Star, Sonic the Hedgehog, Thunder Force 4, and that right now those are the ones that they've announced, with many more that they're planning to announce. Okay.
Thunder Force, really?
Yeah. Well, they did the Thunder Force one for the PS2. I remember.
Yeah.
I think what they had was they had the Genesis versions of Thunder Force 2 and 3. All right, and they had the arcade version of Thunder Force, and then Thunder Force 4 was completely brand new.
Yeah.
That they went ahead and they redid. So yeah, it's definitely something that to look out for, especially if you're a Switch owner. All right. Now, here's where it gets really, really interesting. All right, because I remember when they went ahead and when Nintendo went ahead and they put out their announcement for the SNES Classic Edition and everything else, right? People were like saying, "Oh, look, there's a portable Genesis out there, the shitty one by AT Games, all right, which has fucked up emulation, fucked up sound, and mistimed emulation, and all sorts of things, right?" It turns out that Sega is taking cue from Nintendo, and they are going to be putting out a Genesis Mini. So, at this moment in time, the number of titles have not been finalized for it, but they're saying that it's going to have at least 15 games on it. What do you guys think about that?
Fuck you, Sega. Fuck you. Fuck you for having to raid my wallet this year. Fuck you, Sega, for that. Sega, fuck it. Yeah. Middle fingers to you, okay? For, again, fuck. Shit. And get my shit.
No. See, I don't want to hear you complaining, because how many videos we made about Sega?
Wait a minute. Wait.
They listen to us, man. They listen to us.
No. This is not a complaint, okay?
No, I'm not saying it is.
I'm just saying that, God damn it, I'm just going to have to just bite all types of bullets and pull out wallet and spend money, get merchandise, and enjoy games. So, again, I don't give a fuck if those games are already in my library, which most likely they are around here somewhere. But it's the fact that, again, depends on the games. No matter what they fucking pick, especially if they're Sega titles, okay, Sonic's 1, 2, 3, Sonic, Knuckles, Comic Zone, Vector Man's 1 and 2, I mean, Golden Axe, Altered Beast, Afterburners, Shinobis.
Crazy
Rage.
Yeah, Streets of Rages. Give me a fucking break. Who will not get that shit for those titles alone? Then think about this. Will there be third-party support? Will there be the fucking Castlevania on there? Will there be, Street Fighter Special Champion Edition or Super Street Fighter 2 or whatever?
Bloodline's hard to find, so that would be interesting or cheap. That would be interesting to have on that.
Yeah.
Strider or Forgotten Books. You're telling me that, again, at least 15 games. that should be doubled minimum by the time E3 comes around when they totally announce and talk about the shit.
I mean, the Streets of Rages, the Sonics, that's already 8 games already.
But okay.
Including
All controller cord, please. And a 6-button controller. Don't fucking do that 3-button controller if you're gonna release this thing. Have the 6-button controller. I'm warning you, Sega. Don't do that 3-button controller and don't only have the 3-button controller available.
Well, what if they don't release any of the Street Fighter titles on it?
Exactly, or Mortal Kombat. You can't fucking release those with 3 fucking button controllers. No.
I can imagine MK. Oh my.
No.
Wow.
No. Wait, is there going to be a Sega CD adapter? a mini 32X? Wait, I'll give you the answers?
A Sega mini disc.
Say again?
A Sega mini disc.
Yeah, well, if you're gonna have it emulated, fuck it. Night Trap, fuck it.
You just said Night Trap?
Yep.
Fuck Night Trap.
Yep.
No.
I didn't say Sewer Shark.
No.
Night Trap. Here we go. There it is.
No.
Classics like that.
You said Night Trap. Oh my God.
Like virtual racing.
I can't believe you said Sewage Shark.
No, I said I didn't say fucking that. I didn't say that. Night Trap is better than that.
Yeah.
So again, are they gonna do that? As of right now, it's just for the Mega Drive, but they better not have it like bigger and have like a 32X.
So I'm wondering, are they gonna have the shitty sound chip?
Oh no!
I digress.
So they're gonna have this as authentic as possible for what we remember. They're just gonna HD it out as far as graphics.
Oh my God! Is it gonna sound? Is the sound gonna be like muffled behind her?
No, actually, it shouldn't.
Hey, the rings from Sonic didn't sound distorted.
Yeah.
For Christ's sake.
But yeah, this particular one is going to be another nifty device. It's made by a first-party game company.
Made by Sega.
Made by Sega themselves. It's not going to be made by AT Games or any of the other clone system manufacturers out there.
You know what I think? You know what I think? I think that these main guys who's doing these right now, the main companies, they're getting tired of all this phony shit all over the shelves. They're like, do that. We're gonna make it right. Bam! This is Mega Drive. I think they're finally getting tired of that shit.
Well, not only that, but like I was saying before we started this video, look, these guys are looking at it, they're like, all right, including any sort of licensing for any games that might be third party or whatnot, what production costs for each of the unit might be like, what, $15, $20, right? And then they're going to turn around, they're going to sell them for like $70 or $80.
True.
It's just a huge amount of fucking profit. And guess what? Not only will the hardcore nostalgic geeks like ourselves be willing to go out there and get it, but the casuals who hear about it, they'll be willing to get it too, because you're not asking them to go ahead and shell out $250, $300.
Right.
All right.
One thing I want to say before we close down. The sad thing about it, these little retro small mini systems, it could only go as far as up to the point to where CD-based games were. So the Genesis is going to be like, that's it. Because after the Mega Drive, there was nothing else.
Hey, what about a TurboGrafx 16 mini?
I would be all over that, but that would be like
Geo Mini.
Yeah,
a Neo Geo Mini. We're done there.
Well, at least
because they didn't have a cartridge-based console.
Yeah, and those guys still actually exist in some form or another.
Neo Geo Mini. We heard it here first.
But to have something like this to come with it, it'll be bigger than the fucking console itself. Especially if you're gonna get 2 of them, because fuck that, you just can't have one of these for all the Neo Geo games that they have. But I digress. Sega Saturn Mini, please.
Yeah. You know,
but that's another subject altogether. Thank you, Sega, for all this shit, but fuck you at the same time for making me reach in my wallet and make it rain for all these fucking products. God damn, that's not going to be easy.
Wrap it up, Reverend. Wrap it up.
All I gotta say is that I'm just glad that Sega is giving us a reason to be happy, be Sega fans again, and I'm glad for that. All right, but like we usually say, what do you think about it, folks? We want to know. Go ahead and leave your comment below. Tell us what you think about the Sega FES announcements that were made. If you liked this video, we'd appreciate the like. If you didn't, go ahead and mark it as unlike. We won't blame you. And if you're really interested in following us in any of the videos that we put out, you want to know whenever we go ahead and put out more, I suggest you subscribe and turn on those notifications, and you'll know whenever we put out new videos. All right? With all of that said, all of our bullshit about Sega ends right here. I'm the Reverend.
The Theme here.
I'm Grey Mouse 1.
Once again, for the benefits of common sense, logic, and gaming. Credits.
Sega!
Sega!